All right, it's time for Ask Alisha Anything. That is the segment I'm going with here. It's Ask Alisha Anything.
All the pressure's on me. I'm put on the spot.
You are.
You didn't even tell me the questions ahead.
No, I
That's what
prompted Alisha.
he always does this
I
stuff
dragged
to
her out
me.
to the studio and I said, I'm going to ask you questions. I've got them here. She has not seen them.
Okay.
Some are just serious questions. What helps our buyers today? Those sorts of questions. Some might get a little strange.
I'm sure
just
they
go
will.
there. Let's just start with what was your
Do
favorite.
I get to ask you questions back? Because I would like
Absolutely.
that.
Let's start with an easy one. What was your favorite childhood cartoon?
I don't know.
That's an easy one.
Probably like Bugs Bunny or something.
What? Really?
Childhood cartoon?
Bugs Bunny? Mine would have been G.I. Joe.
Okay.
Because knowing's half the battle.
Okay.
So there's a joke.
So you were prepared with a cooler answer.
No, I didn't. I came up with that question just off the thing. So,
Okay.
All right, Alisha, here we go. What's one thing that you wish every buyer understood before they started looking at homes? Whether it's today's market, anytime market, what's one thing that you wish every buyer understood before they started looking at homes?
I wish that they had a little bit of open mind for creativity in the process. I think you can get very stressed and kind of narrow-minded on what you need to have or how it needs to look. And so if you can kind of relax and let the process flow, and where I'm going with that...
Can you give us like a specific
example? I have a specific example of where I'm going with that. I try to coach our buyers that when you're looking at properties, the main two things is location and overall like size and layout of the property, because that's what you can't change. You can't pick up the home and move it across town. You can't decide all of a sudden you want it to be like way bigger. You could add on, but that'd be expensive and usually not a right fit, or change the lot positioning or something like that, right? So if you want a big yard or you want at least 4 bedrooms or something like that, you want to focus on those things primarily. And what I mean by the creativity is I feel like you'll go in a home and one will be like beautifully furnished. And so the buyers are like, wow. But really, maybe it was kind of lipstick on a pig on whoever flipped
True.
it. Another home isn't as wowy because maybe it's a little out of date with how it's decorated. But carpet and paint are easy changes. And it's hard to visualize, but you could get that home significantly less than the other home, and you could make those changes and you are going to get a better deal. You're not going to be competing with as many buyers. So I think it's hard because it's hard to have that trained eye to see potential. But if you can do that, you can really get a better deal in real estate.
I think that goes to the point we always tell our sellers, a freshly painted house goes a long way. And it's ironic, I think, how much more money you can get off of a freshly painted house versus not. Because I think it goes back to that same point. People walk into a home, it's painted 19 different colors or an ugly color or some sort of weird color. I'm not going to pick on any specific colors because somebody probably has their house painted. But they haven't painted an ugly color.
Yeah.
And the buyer comes in and they don't want to buy the home because of that, where painting is a fraction of the price of what people think it is.
Right. And the first impressions matter so much. And you can't visualize and you can't go back and redo that later. And we coach the sellers the opposite way. They're like, well, we just know people will paint it what they want. Yes, that could be true, but it's still worthwhile to put a nice fresh coat of a very neutral paint on there, because the first impressions matter, and that can make a big difference on what they want to offer or how hard they want to negotiate.
Absolutely. I think a real life story, before we were licensed, our first home we bought,
That's good.
it was a new build home. We walked into one and we're like, we don't like it. Went a couple miles away to a different community, same builder, walked into this home. We went, this is the home. Like, we both just knew, we fell in love right away. And the first home we went to that we didn't like, it was painted weird. Like, they had it was just weird. It was a weird style. It was different. The furniture was not us that they used in the model home. But the second home, we're like, this is it. This is the home. And it took us a minute until we went, wait a minute, this is the same exact house that we just came from.
There was a bit of time in between, and it was flipped.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we realized it till later. We were like, we've been in this model, and somehow it didn't strike us.
And I think it was paint. For me, it was the paint. The paint job was so distracting in the other one that I couldn't actually take it in. So I think that's good.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. So I think that's like the creativity and the buyer process.
Yeah.
Like, know your locations you want, know the overall size, and be open-minded and creative of what you can do with the rest and how you can work that into the deal.
Yeah. All right. So sticking with the buyer theme, what makes a seller choose a buyer? Let's look at that. Like seller has multiple offers or one offer or whatever the situation is. What are some things that sellers look at that help them decide what buyer to go with?
Well, due to fair housing, we can't, discriminate, and we're not always getting, letters of, the answer obviously isn't all these personal things, right? Because people are removed from the process. So it's the strength on paper. And a huge piece of that is how solid that they can perform. And that's a few different ways. Is it a contingent offer? That definitely weakens the buyer's offer. And there's two different types of contingencies. Is it contingent because I need to still go put my home on the market and get an offer? Or is it a little stronger that it's contingent because you can just wait for me to close in a few weeks and then I'll have that money for the down payment? So the contingency is a huge deal. You could give a great offer, but your home's not on the market. You can't get the deal done. And if you're the seller, you're probably still just going to wait till someone can perform.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge. I think the other thing is, how strong you are financially. Obviously, cash is king, and also how strong your pre-qualification, you're ready to go on all of your finances. All the other terms matter, how long it will take to close. There is a lot that goes into it, but I think some of that is key.
So what about if you're as we advise sellers all the time, I know some other things that we look at and give advice. And some of that is the team that the buyer is working with, not the real estate team, but when I say team, I mean the lender, the agent, who has the buyer picked in to represent them. And I think that is important because we've seen lenders in particular ruin deals because they don't get their paperwork done. They didn't have it fully underwritten. They didn't do this. And buyers will choose certain lenders, for example, that don't do the right job. And I think that can impact the seller because we as the real estate agents are advising of our experience with those lenders. And then I think who you hire to represent you as an agent is big for the seller too, because if you want to expand on that, but I think when an agent calls and they're difficult to work with from the get-go, it probably means it's going to be difficult throughout the escrow. And we advise our sellers of what that is. Is the agent doing their paperwork right? Did they miss on their contract? Is it correct? Did they do things? Because all of that.
Sometimes you look them up and you're like, oh, this is going to be this person's third transaction. I'm going to be helping them do their job throughout it likely.
Because our job is to legally protect our sellers too.
Yes.
And if the buyer's agent is not doing a good job on the paperwork, there's a mess to begin with.
Yeah.
And so
we had the one a few months ago where the agent forgot to turn in the inspection request on time.
Yeah.
And that buyer's agent cost their client a lot of money by missing a deadline. That worked out in our favor.
Yeah.
And then on the lender side, I feel like we have situations there too where the lender can ruin a deal. Also, the lender can get the deal to the finish line, but there's things that you don't really think about when you're not in the day-to-day of it. And we had other clients where at the end we tried to work out where we needed some credits for closing at the end because some repairs weren't done. And the lender that they had switched to, I know they were excited about for, some of the pricing and things that they were hoping to get. But then the lender wasn't able to accommodate working through some of these credits we needed at the end. And it actually kind of tied our hands with what we could do because we have to work very closely with them to put together the right package deal. So, those all add up and make a difference to the overall experience.
Absolutely. So who you have on your side definitely matters. It's not just I'm offering list price. There's so many other things that kind of come into that play.
Yeah.
So definitely.
And the agent's representing you. So you have to think about that. I mean, the things we hear other agents say sometimes that I'm like, this client that hired you knew you were saying this to me.
Yeah.
I wonder if they would still hire you because you should not have given me that information or just said what you just said.
Yeah. So that segues into a good question. What is one thing you wish would change about how people perceive real estate agents? It's a great question.
That is a great question. Why do you have some answers?
I
Because
just
you
gave a
had
good-
more
I
time
just
to
gave a
think
good
about
answer.
it, and that's a tricky one, being in the industry. I think we do a very professional job at one of your most important and highest price assets. And I think that some people just view agents as a door opener. And maybe there is a lot of part-time or less professional situations where that kind of stuff happens. And I think you take for granted some of the complexities behind the scenes. And I think if you were to pick like a doctor or a lawyer, you'd want somebody like very professional, knows their stuff, a lot of experience. And then for some reason in our industry, people will just be like, I know a cousin, you know?
My cousin's barber's
Yes.
dog groomer.
And I'm like, okay, if you needed a specific surgery, would you be like, I know my cousin? Or would you be like, I'm picking this doctor because they've done a heck of a lot of that surgery and they know my exact thing and they've done it over and over and over, which makes them really good at that thing.
Yeah.
You know?
But so I'll just challenge for a second. The perception is agents can be just door openers. We're there just to let people see pretty properties. But I think part of the failure of that perception is the agent. I think the agents, and we don't do a good job helping our clients understand what happens behind the scenes. For example, on our team, when you go into escrow, we have a checklist. This is after we found the house, negotiated, which there's a whole, we could talk for 4 hours on that process alone, but there's a 90-point checklist that we have to get from opening escrow, once you're in escrow, to closing. And it's in depth. And of those 90 points, I think 86 of them go unseen by our buyer. And that's on purpose. We want to take the load off, the stress off, et cetera. But at the same time, I think it leads to that perception.
Yeah, I think people are like, oh, this person's nice and I know them or whatever. And there are a lot of nice agents and people out there, but I think being very competent and experienced in your particular role is different. And there are a lot of great competent agents. I mean, we are in an industry where the few sell the most. I don't know if it's exactly the 80-20 rule, but it's definitely like repeat with the same, people that do a great job. And then there's also the one-offs that are on the side stuff,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a really strong point about oversimplifying all the steps that it really takes to make sure you don't miss. And because if you do get that one curveball or a weird something, that's a big risk.
Absolutely. It's a huge risk. Okay.
Okay.
Ready for a strange one? I'll give you a second to process. I'll process the question, but what is the strangest request that we've ever had from a buyer or a seller? And the follow-up is, how'd you keep a straight face?
Okay. A request?
Yeah, what's the strangest request?
Okay. We were just talking about this one that I knew you were going to think of. We're selling a very nice property and had it professionally staged. And she said, I feel like we should put a tricycle in the hallway so people could get an idea of how long you could ride down. This is a nice Alderwood
luxury
hallway.
home.
And I was like, a tricycle is what's missing.
Yeah.
They also had like a teddy bear over the fireplace, which we were going for a very chic,
This home
theme.
looked like a castle.
It was really nice. And I had wanted to take down the teddy bear because I just didn't feel like it fit. And she was not happy with me about that. She was like, no, the teddy bear definitely stays in the corner staring at you. I was like, on the front. I was like, it was just a little odd, but they're the clients. So we were like, okay, push back a little bit, but I could tell it was not.
I think we should have one-upped it. I think we should have put the teddy bear on the tricycle. I think that
we didn't have a tricycle.
We didn't. We never actually did fulfill the request.
But that's what was missing, according to this client.
It didn't. That wasn't. But
and I remember both you and I were just like, what? Like you're just kind of taken back, so you're not really sure what to say because it's so out of left field.
All right, so we co-run.
Did you think of another one?
No, I didn't. That's a good one. I didn't. That was a good one.
Okay.
I picture the tricycle on luxury floor that you can't even get. You have to redo the whole thing. It was crazy. Okay, so we co-lead the team. So I'm going to ask two questions. When it comes to the team or to negotiations, which one of us is the good cop and which one of us is the bad cop?
What?
Yeah. How do we play good cop, bad cop? Zoom in on that face.
I think when it comes to clients, I'm good cop and you're bad cop.
Okay.
Because there's been sometimes some clients have been very mean, and you've been like, I don't appreciate you treating my team like this. It's situations where people get, and then on the team, maybe I'm the bad cop. I don't know. I get very driven and focused.
All right, if you're on our team and watching this, chime in.
No. I just want things to like run and get done, and I'm very direct. I'm a high D on the disc scale, and I don't know. What do you think?
I think it depends. I think that's what benefits
maybe
us on
it's
our
the
team.
topic.
I think it's the topic and the temperament.
True.
I think when it comes to negotiations, you are the fierce negotiator on the team. I learn from you every time I watch you negotiate. It's amazing.
You're awesome
what
too.
you do. Being able to get deals for our clients. It doesn't matter if it's a penny or $1 million. She fights the same for either one. And so I think
dog with a bone.
I don't know if that's good or bad cop, but you're aggressive for it. But I
Yeah.
think to your point, when it's agents or clients that have done something that's wrong, I'm fiercely loyal for our team and for our clients. I get the same if an agent on the other side of the transaction does something that is unethical or immoral or doesn't abide by the contract. I'm fiercely loyal and turn into bad cop quick to protect
or even
our
a vendor
clients.
if it's like not an apology if there was a mess up, because we're all going to have a mess up and a bad day.
Yeah.
But if you try to like not face the music or like sweep it under the rug or lie about it or not say like, I'm sorry, I will totally my bad, take care of whatever. I think that's like a hot trigger where it's like, if, so like you said, depending on the topic.
Depends on the topic. But maybe with the team. I'm just kidding.
What?
Nothing. Maybe with the team, you're the bad cop. Maybe.
What?
I'm kidding.
Depends on the top. I'll go like, let's not give an answer.
What about the kids?
That's not applicable to this.
It's very applicable. All right. What is something that we totally disagree on in a real estate decision? I got a good example, but what's something where you and I, whether it was a transaction or something we're doing, where you and I full disagreement, and who won in the end?
What? Wow.
I got a recent one. If you want.
You are really pulling off the curtain.
People want to know.
You go then, because I can't think of one.
I think the most recent would have been on the flip project, and it's a good one because you won. So you should be. You should be happy.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah, let's talk about this one. We're doing the flip. The flip house had no bathtub whatsoever in the home, and it was a healthy debate about whether or not we put in a bathtub. I was very much in favor of the bathtub, helping for beginning families. I felt like this home could have been a starter home, and I felt like having a bathtub was important. The cost was pretty high. So
$8,000.
It was a debate of whether or not.
$8,000, and the shower was already nice for context.
We didn't have to redo the shower.
That's the hard part.
That is true. We didn't have to redo the shower.
Yeah.
But so I got to win on other stuff.
Yeah.
But you did win on the bathtub, and in the end, it never came up. And we ended up selling the home.
But it was a questionable one because we did know that was a downfall. Like, ooh, this home doesn't have a bathtub. There was another buyer that looked at it previous that did mention that.
Yeah. Before we were done,
the buyers that did, though, they were fine. I've toured other sellers' homes that don't have it, and they end up putting like a hot tub out back because they're like, if I do want to soak, I'll get a hot tub or something. Or people with a baby, you can get these creative. Anyway, I'm tangenting. Creative things you can place in the shower to bathe the baby.
Just a Home Depot bucket works fine. I mean,
Home Depot bucket. We don't need to spend $8,000.
It's fine.
Figure it out.
I would have thrown it in on the sale for the right offer.
Yeah, that's right. Bucket included.
For the right offer. It's very true.
Yeah, that's a tough debate. But I think we had a lot of feel on the market, so we could make some of these kind of educated decisions. I think that's the hard part about real estate for people is there's just not good like concrete and case studies.
Yeah.
You know, like this kind of stuff comes up. It's like, should I do this or should I do that? And you work through the person's individual situation. And then also just a lot of experience can give you that, like, I see it go in this direction a lot and I have the feel. But it's not like you can ever go back and try to sell the same house twice and prove something. There's no such thing to do that.
Yeah.
So that's why it can be tricky.
But I don't think disagreement's bad. You give me this
Yeah,
look when
no,
I
it
ask
was a
that
healthy
question.
balance on that topic. Yeah.
And we disagree when we go into, there's a lot of times we'll go into a seller's house and they'll ask, would you do this or would you do that? And we have
true.
our varying opinions. And a lot of times there's not a right or a wrong answer.
I see where you're going with that, because they'll be like, do you think I should fix this ahead of time? And we're like, I don't know how many buyers would be scared off by that. And you're like, for me, I think it would be a big deal. And I'm like, for me, maybe not, because I think it depends on the lens of the buyer. And then other things I'll be like, definitely, you know, the kitchen's important to me. I would pay attention to this. And you, maybe not so much. So it gives a nice rounded picture.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think disagreement's good. And it's definitely healthy. And I think it, again, the benefit of a husband and a wife team, you and I are very different in a lot of ways. And we think differently in a lot of ways. And I think that's what helps our clients.
Yeah, true.
Every day. All right, Alisha, open-ended question. Where do you see the real estate market going for the rest of this year?
The rest
Crystal
of
ball.
2025.
Let me grab the crystal ball from back here. If you haven't noticed, we do have a crystal ball. So where do you see? Look in the crystal ball. Where does the rest of 2025 go for real estate? Buyer, seller? Is it going to crash?
No, it's not going to crash.
It's going to crash.
Guess what? Sellers can be stubborn. Surprise. They're not going to sell low. They're just going to hang on.
Hold on. Because that's a great sentence. But I think if we're in the industry, we hear that and we're like, yeah, that makes sense. Break that down a little bit more, because there's so much YouTube noise about the market's going to crash, sellers are going to sell. But when you said that, what do you mean by that? Break that down. Give it to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
I have sat down with so many sellers and they're like, listen, if I got to go to that point, I'm just going to hold the property, right? Yeah. They're locked in at good interest rates. They remind like, hey, I don't have to sell. I think the point is like a crash would involve all these sellers coming down in price and down in price and down in price. And I just don't think when people don't have to do it, in 2008, people got upside down and the loans went bad and it was like you were stuck with being short. Well, right now, the statistics and the amount of people that have equity in their homes, there's like hardly any short sales and foreclosures. So for the market to crash, all the sellers out there would have to unifiedly decide. Unifiedly? I don't know if that's
I'll give it to you. We'll look it up.
Uniform. I don't know.
It's in the captions now. It says
it
right there.
Just be like, yeah, let's all go way low, you know? So I think things can slowly adjust and you can have these market like bumps and ups and downs.
Sure.
But to a point, I don't think it's going to crash.
It's supply and demand.
Yeah.
And unless supply far outweighs demand, which in the Phoenix metro market, specifically speaking, we still have good demand.
Yeah.
So even if supply goes up, at the end of the day, the equity's too much. People are not, it's just not going to drop out.
Yeah.
So where do you see the rest of 2025?
I do think and hope like we're probably in a flat spot. We've been in some corrections.
Sure.
And I'm hoping that things kind of flatten out. We get a little bit of relief on interest rates. And then I'm hoping next year, where some of the predictions are talking about where the pricing would have got to had COVID not happened and really kind of jetted things up. And then now we've been kind of wobbling, finding our footing since then. Mm-hmm. I feel like next year, hopefully we'll go back to nice, slow, steady growth in the market.
Okay. So what's your advice for buyers or sellers? Let's start with buyers and make you break it down. You can give one piece of advice to buyers today. What is it?
Only one.
Only one. They only get one word of wisdom from you. If you'd like the other two, call her. But what's the one? There's a good call to action.
The one, I think real estate can be complex because it's like you can never perfectly time a market either. Yeah. And it's also what's personally right for you.
That was two. But I'll let you have it because they both were so good.
Yeah. It's like your brain is having a hard time. So I think you need to process like, okay, what's the market and the numbers, and then what's the personal stuff and the personal situations of what's right. And I think if you're a buyer and the personal time is now and you have the funds and can afford it, I think you're going to be able to have a lot of negotiating power right now. So I would say now, because if things improve, you're competing more, you can't negotiate as much, and you can't perfectly time a market.
So I want to add, kind of on that same vein, I think there's a stigmatism around renting. There's a lot of people like, oh, if you're renting, you're throwing away money. And yeah, you're not gaining equity in rental. But going on that same thing, if it's the right time for you, I would argue that maybe renting is the right thing to do. If you're building your savings, you're starting to get ready for that down payment, you're doing those things. But if you're in a cash position to buy right now, I think the market is great. I think it's a great time to buy. It's the most decisions and choices and opportunities we've seen for buyers in well over a decade.
Yeah.
The strength in terms of who's got the negotiating power does squarely rest in a buyer's hand today.
That's true. I didn't think about that. I mean, I got licensed in 2009. I guess buyers had leverage those first few years. It was a lot of short sales. And I remember we even advertised like traditional seller if it wasn't the bank, because that was the rarity. But other than that time in the market, which really was an anomaly time, I've never seen buyers have so much leverage as they do
For this
right
long.
now. And when repairs are needed, all of the things. So that's really nice if you're in buyer position right now.
Absolutely. And so I think the encouragement is, if you have to rent, don't feel bad that you're renting. Maybe that's the time to build and grow and what have you. However, if you've got the cash, I think sitting on the sidelines for too much longer will start to feel a little regret. That's my take. Okay.
Yeah.
Stick it out.
And opportunity doesn't always wait for convenience.
That's true.
So if you're watching for the right property, maybe you're a passive buyer, not an active buyer.
Yeah.
You don't know when that perfect property is going to hit. So that can be worth it
No, absolutely.
to be
For sure.
patient and watch.
For sure. Always the truth. Okay. One statement. I know you're going to give me two again. Seller. Good advice for the seller in today's
I
market.
can't do it short.
It's okay. It's a good advice for the seller in today's market.
Seller in today's market, you have more competition right now. So you need to have, it's harder for your home to stand out. So leaving things undone, like not having it, nicely presented with decluttering and picked up, and maybe you need to put some fresh paint on it. Maybe you can tell the pool really needs a repair, and that's going to give buyers hesitation. Anything that can give the buyer a hesitation, if you're a seller, it's better to get ahead of that.
Yeah. Take away any hesitation.
Yes, because the sellers often say, oh, the buyer will just come in and replace the carpet anyway. I don't want to pick because I don't know what they'd like.
Yeah.
And we hear that a lot. But if you pick a nice neutral carpet, usually buyer's like, oh, that's nice. The carpet's already done. And for the buyer, let's say it's a first-time home buyer family coming in and they've saved up a lot for down payment. And then they're going to feel like they have to come up with that much more up front for the carpet, where they could just buy the house down the road that already did the carpet.
Yeah.
Now it's built into the loan. It's easy. It's simple. It's just move in ready, right? What did every buyer say to us? They say, I want move in ready.
Absolutely.
And so I think sellers making their properties move in ready is the top advice. And it's important in the market for them now more than ever.
I think I would also add, and mine might turn into two or three here, but I would add pricing matters more than ever. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, just because you have a number in your head that you want to sell for, doesn't mean that's what's going to get it done. We always say pricing is an invitation to come view the property. And buyers in a market like we've already said, where they have a lot more options, they have a lot more choices, that invitation needs to be attractive. It can't be just, if you get a wedding invite on a yellow sticky note that gets mailed to you, you might not go to that wedding. But if it comes in like a leather-bound envelope talking about what it is, you're going to be more likely to be like, that sounds like a fun wedding. I'm going. That's a cool invitation. And I think the same thing holds true on price. And we sit down with sellers every week and we see some things play out. We've seen before where sellers who are aspirational, where maybe the nearest comp, same house, is 10% below they think they could sell their home, say 500 grand. Like, I want to sell for 500 grand, even though the neighbor down the street with the same house just sold for 450. We come with hard truth, hard data, hard numbers and say that's just not going to work. And you're going to do yourself a disservice, to which they say, my cousin's barber's vet also has his real estate license and said that he'll sell it for 500. And we see this play out. I know it sounds funny and ludicrous, but we see it play out where they then go to market with cousin's barber's vet. And then because their home sits and they stigmatize the property, they end up selling for even less than what we suggested at the beginning, because now their home's been on the market for 200 days and they haven't showcased it right. So I think pricing right, not just looking at whatever online algorithm.
Well, I think an important point to explain is, I think sellers, and I understand the thinking. If I weren't in the business, it's like, well, why not try, right? Like, what's the harm? I could just price it here. They feel like I can always come down, but I can't come up, right? Those are like common phrases we hear all the time. And I think what sellers don't realize is you literally can sell for less because you price too high. And we've seen it play out. And that's what's weird and kind of backwards thinking. But we've had sellers where we'd say, here's the recommended price range. And they go, I still want to try this, And we go for it with them. And meanwhile, they just make the other homes look better and those sell. And then they have to inch down, or they'll pass over, offer in this range at the start. And then over time, we never get back to that offer. And then buyers are like, well, they've been on so long, I'm going to keep going lower. What's wrong with the property? And then we're kind of backtracking a little. And we just have a lot of experience to see that there is a fine line there, that you can actually hurt your final amount when you go too far out of range, because buyers don't come look, or they think, are they really serious? Or they're really picky on everything they're looking at it because they feel like for that price. So it can work against you, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right, Alicia, those were my slew of questions.
Okay, not too bad.
Not too bad, not too bad. I've got others in my brain, but I'll give you a break for today. We'll do this again. Ask Alisha Anything. It's good. It's like 3 A's. I like it.
We could do
Ask Alisha Anything.
Submit your questions and we'll talk about it.
It's like a good song.
Q&A with Paul and Alicia.
There you go. So what questions do you have for me, Alicia? Otherwise, we're closing this thing down.
I want to ask you. What is one of the craziest real estate stories ever of something that happened that you're like, oh my gosh, I never thought I'd have or see that happen before?
I've got a couple. I know I told one on an Instagram about the gentleman who decided to come out in nothing but a bathrobe when me and my client were looking. That was just awkward, especially when he invited us to come look at the upstairs. We quickly left. I think one of the funnier ones was during the height of the market. This was kind of crazy. It was the height of the market. The market was booming. I mean, things would sell in 8.5 seconds. And we had a condo for sale, and the agent that was showing it, I think this was agent number 32 in the last 8 minutes kind of thing. It was just, we had so many showings in that first day. She calls us and says, hey, the condo's on fire. And my response is, yeah, the market's amazing. It's great. She's like, no, it's literally on fire. The condo, 2 doors connected down, there had an explosion and there was a fire. Luckily, our seller's condo was not on fire, but there was smoke damage.
She's the one that called 911.
She called
I heard the
explosion, and she called 911.
And I had to call 911.
And then, so we were talking, thanks for calling 911, really appreciate you. Great. We're going to be submitting an offer here shortly. That was
But she did really want to talk about offering on it, even though it was filled with smoke.
Smoke damage.
Are you still there? She's like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're good. Fireman's here.
Yeah. They did have to have the smoke fumigated, but.
that's got to be one of the crazier things that I've seen happen.
We're really? It's on fire now?
It is on fire. It's a great market.
Are you calling me to talk about it?
Yeah. So there you go. It was on fire and on fire.
Yeah. Yes.
That's it. That's my crazy story for you.
Okay, that was a good one.
All right.
I know we have more, so we'll have to do a whole separate segment.
Well, thanks for playing along. Ask Alisha Anything. Hopefully we got some good advice.
And ask Paul anything.
Got some good stuff. All right. Have a great day, y'all. Thank you.